we haven't done that for a while. So let's do some loud thinking, because that is very good for our chess. My opponent is Dariush 22, and we are going to engage in a Nimzo Indian defense. The idea is that if he plays knight c3 with the intention of e4, we pin that knight and we quickly castle, thereby doing a very rapid development of our pieces, and at the same time still keeping both of the options of d5 and c5 open in order to attack the center. Now, instead of e3, which is a very timid and passive move, a3 is normally played with the idea of forcing my bishop off and forcing me into the swap, and after that the bishop could be activated via g5. And for this reason now I'm thinking about playing d5, because if I play d5, the structure changes into what we would call the Queen's Gambit declined, in which case this bishop obviously would stand away better here, pinning everybody. Alright, now I am also very heavily inclined to play c5 to further contest the center. Once again, I have got bigger liberty because of I'm not pinned, so I don't have to reckon with nasty takes and then, yeah, basically face the consequences of a capture on f6 at any given moment. So I'm feeling quite happy and comfortable with my current situation. I continue developing, and now I'm already building threats. I'm threatening to take on d4 and then on c4. And so he needed to do a take himself, thereby releasing tension. And again, I have a very pleasant choice. Both knight takes and pawn takes look quite friendly, but I will go with pawn takes because I really like my pawn center. And now potentially he can take or he can castle. Now after castles, I can change again the pawn structure myself by taking on d4. I can also push this in, which is actually quite a solid option. I'm very tempted to push it in because against that, if I push it in, his best plan would be to play for e4. And because of he hasn't pinned me, and because of the bishop is back on e2, e4 is very difficult to pull off. So if I play c4, e4 is met by bishop takes, and then the knight, the pawn on e4 is dropping. In any other case, it's a little bit of a tricky business. At the same time, I'm thinking if I play c4, knight e5 can be a little bit annoying, with the idea of them bringing the bishop to f3 and trying to play in the center. So maybe a preparatory move like rook e8 seems to make sense to me, with the idea of denying knight e5, getting ready for c4, in which case almost definitely he would play a3. And then I have to take, but probably I would be happy with that position too. So I'm gonna play rook e8. I think it's a very sound preparing move. The other one that I was considering was bishop g4, but often it leads to masses of swaps, which is something I wanted to avoid. Now we are changing the position into an isolated pawn structure. So now my objective is to avoid swaps as best as I can and build on this initiative that my more active pieces guarantee to me. I have to be a little bit wary of the fact that there is a hanging bishop on c5, so any knight move would expose my bishop on c5. I expect rook d1, that seems to be the most annoying move by far. Didn't happen. Knight b5 is a very logical, but in my opinion not particularly good move in this case. The idea with this is to regroup the knight onto d4, where it blockades the isolated pawn. It's a very sound move as far as strategy is concerned, but at the same time it seems to not really respond to the needs of the position, because it also allows me to jump into e4, and it also allows me to freely develop my pieces, and I may even be able to exploit this bad queen position here now, because if he plays b4, which is the reason why I played a3 in the first place, with the intention of bishop b2, then rook c8 could be quite annoying. And in fact rook c8 is annoying again. which is the move that I'm very seriously considering right now, because I think his best would be to drop back, and then knight b5 was just a total waste of time. Yeah, he misplayed this opening very badly. Here he played two very quick moves. Knight b5 wasn't bad, but he had to follow it up with knight d4, and a3 was truly bad, terrible. And now after rook c8, I don't really see what he's planning on doing. If he plays queen a4, then again he played two queen moves in the opening. He still hasn't finished development, and just the overall impression is that his pieces are a little bit all over the shop. With queen a4, I'm planning, by the way, about jumping in to e4, further developing or improving rather the quality of my pieces. He opted for queen d3. The idea is that now I can't go in because he has got d5 under attack. There are a number of tempting options available for me. One of them is one of them is bishop here, which is quite pleasant. The other one is bishop takes, knight e5, queen e2, but then I don't see how I can continue that, so I'm not going there just yet. And I also have a6 followed by knight d4. Knight takes is not wanted. Yeah, I'm not going there. Yeah, and I was also thinking about a6, knight d4, knight e4, which can be followed by knight takes e6, pawn takes e6, queen a6, and that's also unclear. Yeah, this is a little bit of a tricky scenario. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna go with bishop h5. This seems to me to be best. Further annoying this queen on d3 by dropping back to g6. That looks totally good, sound, and so on. Yeah, I don't know. So a6, knight d4, knight e4, I would have loved to make that work, but after knight takes, pawn takes, queen a6, I'm not really worried about the fact that I lost the pawn, but I just couldn't figure out how to build on that. Okay. Now I think I can play a6, knight e4, because after knight takes, pawn takes back, if a6 gets taken, I have got knight c3. And then pinch that bishop. Oh, the queen is covering it. Okay. Maybe not just yet. If bishop here, now queen b3 is good. So maybe this bishop back wasn't the brightest of moves. a6, knight d4, knight d4, knight d4. Oh, now bishop takes d4 wins on the spot. Okay, so a6, knight d4, knight takes d4, and he can't take back with knight, because after bishop takes d4, no matter what takes back, pawn or queen, he's losing the bishop. Another benefit of the rook on the e file. So after a6, knight d4, knight takes, he has to take back with the pawn, whereupon after bishop g6, he's losing a piece. Woohoo! Booyah! So he has to play, I reckon, knight c3, which seems to be also losing to bishop takes e5, bishop takes knight e5, and now then c3 knight is very loose. So it turns out that whilst b4 was a necessary move in order to develop the bishop to the correct diagonal, it actually loses by force, because it created so many weak squares and targets in the position. I think now he realized that he messed it up really hardcore, because now after bishop g6, no matter where the queen goes, this drops. If queen d2, rook c2 wins the bishop, and no other square is available. So it turned out that my bishop h5 move was very good too. I'm actually quite happy, I almost said impressed, but I don't want to get carried away, about how this game went in general, although admittedly, like early knight b5 and then the a3 b4 plan was just downright wrong for white, and now he's paying the price. He's going to resign here. Yeah, that was actually quite a good effort. I'm very happy that we got to experience a little bit about the isolated pawn structure and how to play and what strategies to apply. Surely, mate, you don't want to do this. Oh, come on. I really don't like to be a douche, but this looks to me like a waste of time. Okay, so I'm not just, I don't really want to comment much on what's happening. I played f6 to deny the knight's entry. Going to go back there to pin. Probably I should have actually gone back, but yeah. Oh, wait a second. Do I not have tactics here? Because if I move this knight, the bishop is goner. Okay, let's do this. I enjoy playing flashy chess anyway if they don't want to resign. So the idea is that whatever takes rook takes e2 is very, very nasty. If bishop f1, I just take the bishop and then the free pawn. If bishop d3, I take, knight check, king f1, and I can take the free pawn as well as play knight f4, being very annoying. So once again, I would expect resignation here. Nope. This is not the type of dude who gives up very easily. I'm actually tempted to play knight f4 because I wanted to play queen here. The only thing is that after knight f4, rook here. Oh, but then I have queen here with the intention of check. And if rook here, then queen g4. Deadly mate threat. I like that one. Let's do that. I really enjoy playing for mates instead of grabbing silly free pawns. So now we are going according to plan. He played rook b3 as per expected. So now this check is my main plan, which is best met by rook c1. But then queen g4 swinging to the other side in a rapid fashion creates an inevitable mate, because after knight e1 I have queen e2 check followed by queen takes e1. Now if he resigns now, I will be very upset, because now I want to show you how this actually plays out. I reckon this was quite clever. So queen here, and I have got this very, very nasty double threat, which makes his position that is already dead lost beyond repair. Please note, it's a very common attacking pattern that when there is a knight on f3 for the defending side and there is one on f4 for the attacking side, this knight tends to be very useless because the threat is going to land on g2, and pushing this pawn creates a lot of weak squares. Often the knight is hanging, not now because the rook is covering it, but then the knight can't cover up all the weak squares around the king. Now he did notice this threat, but he failed to spot this one. Sorry, dude. And actually, this is gonna be after king g1. I'm not even taking the rook. It's, yeah, GG. Alright, I don't want to ruin this video with anything, so I'm going to stop the video here, because I think this was a pretty neat demonstration of opening and middle game strategies. So I just will go very briefly through again the game to see if I missed anything in the commentary that needed commentary. So to be fair, in this position I expected rook d1 because d4 is pending. So a3 I don't think is really good here. Although technically d4 takes, knight takes, and queen takes may not come to too much. b4, bishop back here, and queen h4. I definitely prefer black, and I think that black's position is better and easier to play. Because I have got a developing kingside initiative, and these pieces are very far away from the main arena. But this may not have been the worst that could have happened to him. Now knight b5, bishop b6. Yeah, so once again, I reckon rook d1 was best, and against this I think I would have played again either bishop g4. Oh no, I can't, sorry, because knight d5 is pending. Right, so maybe just drop the bishop back to either square. D6 is fine too, because after knight takes, rook takes, I have the cute tactics of take and take. But maybe b6 is better. And then after that, bishop g4. That would have been the normal course. Knight b5 was weird, but here he definitely needed to drop back. And now I think best for me would have been probably just bishop d7 or queen d6. Actually, queen d6 is better. That's right, because that basically is preparing for my ultimate plan, which is bishop c7, and it allows me to still develop my two pieces to the best squares. But again, he played a very wonky move with a3, allowing me bishop g4, and now I'm beginning to create very annoying threats. So now my knight is threatening to jump all over the shop. And now I think this was a very cool idea. Because as much as I try to make something happen here, knight e4 has been denied. a6 is forcing this knight to where it wants to go anyway. So I thought that I would maintain the main features of the position as it is, with the added threat of bishop g6. Which in itself is not threatening with anything, but it's always very annoying that he has to reckon with this move at every given moment. And the combination of pushing this first and then back, or back first and then pushing the pawn. So there's a variety of tricks here that he had to reckon with. And right now, after b4, he fell apart spectacularly. And I really wanted to show you the plan here, although I think the game showed it well enough. So knight d4 was losing by force because of knight takes. And if knight takes, then bishop takes. Very simple chess. It's very illogical in the sense that in isolated pawn structures you want to avoid swaps, but now there is so much stuff hanging. So if queen takes, I grab the free bishop, and if pawn takes, then you see the power of having played rook e8 first. I still pinch the free bishop. If the knight had gone back to c3, then my plan was, and I'm not sure if it's best, but if worst comes to worst, then takes, bishop takes, and knight e5 guarantees the complete destruction of the king side, because now the queen has to stick with the knight, which is currently under attack, so it has to go to d2 most probably. And then after knight takes, pawn takes, I managed massive damage. I managed to cause massive damage on the king side, and I'm not quite sure how I would follow this up. I've got a few tempting ideas. Queen d7, allowing knight d5, knight d5, queen d5, and then going down to h3, threatening with rook d8, winning the rook. Looks super powerful. So this looks really, really strong. And potentially, I may have other ideas here up my sleeve as well, related to bishop g6. I don't know. This looks very tempting. And he chose the third one, which again fell apart because of rook c2. And in the end, although from here on it was a waste of time, but I wanted to show you this last motive. So his only sensible move here would have been rook here. And then after queen g4, there is no good move to stop the mate. g3 allows mate in 2, rather. And knight e1 allows a different mate by check here and check, and then checkmate. So that was it, guys. I hope you liked it. I think it was a very good example of how to play with the isolated pawn based on tactics and the sound strategy. So hopefully it was a good lesson for you lot. I haven't uploaded very meaningful stuff for a while, so I'm glad that I managed to play this game and record it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back with more soon. Oh, and by the way, although my internet has been very, very funny and I'm really struggling with it, this month I am back to streaming, potentially later on too, but I can't make promises in that department. So please stay tuned, because every now and then I hop online and I stream for an hour or two. Alrighty guys, thanks for watching. Bye.